They had no chance. Outnumbered, outgunned, and forgotten by history, until they fought back. These are the true stories of underdogs who turned certain defeat into the most shocking victories ever seen. Today, we're counting 4 of history's most impossible victories. Number 4, the peasant who became a god, Toyotomi Hideyoshi. In 16th century Japan, your birth sealed your fate. Peasants stayed peasants. The social ladder, a steel cage. But one boy born without name or status would shatter that system. His name, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and his rise would shake all of Japan. Born in 1537 to a lowly foot soldier, Hideyoshi was mocked as scrawny and monkey-like. But he was clever and bold. Refusing a quiet life, he set out on his own. He became a servant to a rising warlord, Oda Nobunaga. Hideyoshi didn't rise by fighting, he rose by thinking. A master of logistics and negotiation, he handled the jobs no one wanted. His brains and charm pushed him from peasant foot soldier to full samurai, an unthinkable leap. In 1582, Nobunaga was betrayed and forced to commit suicide. Japan plunged into chaos. Hideyoshi, mid-siege, made peace with his enemies, turned his army, and raced to face the traitor, writing the first lines of his legend. At Yamazaki, Hideyoshi crushed the traitor and claimed Nobunaga's legacy. But the elite scoffed at the peasant upstart. To truly lead, he had to outsmart and defeat the other warlords, one by one. Over 8 years, Hideyoshi did the impossible. He unified Japan. By 1590, the barefoot servant had become its supreme ruler, holding titles once reserved for the nobility. The emperor gave him a new name, Toyotomi. Hideyoshi's rise wasn't just a military victory, it was a revolution. No noble birth, no training, just relentless drive and a sharp mind. He didn't just beat his enemies, he beat the system. Number 3, the miracle on ice. The year is 1980. The Cold War is at its absolute peak. America is in a slump, struggling with a shaky economy and a crisis of confidence. Its great rival, the Soviet Union, seems to be dominating everywhere, not just in politics, but in sports. And nowhere was that dominance clearer than on the ice. The Soviet national hockey team wasn't just a team, it was a machine, a dynasty, full-time professionals who'd played together for years, winning 4 straight Olympic golds. They were so dominant, they regularly crushed NHL all-star teams. Just days before the 1980 Winter Olympics in Lake Placid, they casually demolished Team USA 10-3 in an exhibition match. The American team? Just a group of college kids, the youngest squad in the tournament, averaging 22 years old, led by coach Herb Brooks, a brilliant perfectionist who pushed them to their limits. No one expected them to win a medal. Most people just hoped they wouldn't get embarrassed. February 22nd, 1980, Lake Placid. The arena was electric, fans waving flags, desperate for a miracle. For 2 tense periods, the young Americans barely hung on. Outplayed, outshot. But their goalie, Jim Craig, was unstoppable. After 40 minutes, the Soviets led, but just barely 3-2. Then came the third period, and everything changed. All that brutal training began to show. The Soviets started to tire. The Americans found new life. 9 minutes in, Mark Johnson scored, 3-3. The crowd erupted. Suddenly, the impossible didn't feel so impossible anymore. Then, with exactly 10 minutes left to play, came the moment that would be frozen in time forever. U.S. team captain Mike Rusione, a guy from a tiny minor league team, grabbed a loose puck and fired a wrist shot that whistled past the legendary Soviet goalie. Goal! The United States had taken a 4-3 lead. Those final 10 minutes felt like forever. The Soviets launched a furious assault, throwing everything at the U.S. net. But the Americans, diving in front of pucks, scrambling with heart, held the line. The clock ticked down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The buzzer sounded. The miracle was real. As the team celebrated, broadcaster Al Michaels delivered the line that made history. Do you believe in miracles? Yes. The U.S. still had to beat Finland for gold, and they did. But the Soviet upset was the true moment. It wasn't just a hockey win, it was symbolic. The team of college kids had done the unthinkable. They'd slayed a giant. Number 2, the 5,000 to 1 champions Leicester City. In modern sports, money is pretty much everything. The teams with the biggest bank accounts buy the best players and usually win all the trophies. It's a predictable cycle, and nowhere is that more true than in the English Premier League, the richest and toughest soccer league on earth. In 2015, a handful of super clubs like Manchester City, Chelsea, and Arsenal, with payrolls over £200 million, were expected to walk all over everyone else. And then there was Leicester City, a small, humble club from the East Midlands. Just the year before, they had barely survived, almost getting relegated back to the minor leagues. At the start of the 2015-16 season, the bookies gave them 5,000 to 1 odds to win the title. For perspective, those are the same odds you could get for proving the Loch Ness Monster is real, or for finding Elvis Presley alive and well. They weren't a long shot, they were a joke. Their team was a motley crew of cast-offs and journeymen. Their star striker, Jamie Vardy, had been playing amateur non-league football just a few years earlier. Their best winger, Riyad Mahrez, was an unknown from the French second division. Their powerhouse midfielder, N'Golo Kanté, was a complete mystery. And they were managed by Claudio Ranieri, a sweet Italian coach who had just been fired by the Greek national team after a humiliating loss to the Faroe Islands. But right from the start of the season, something magical was happening. Playing a lightning-fast style of counter-attacking soccer, Leicester started winning, and they just kept winning. All the experts and fans kept waiting for the bubble to burst. It was a cute story, they all said, but it'll never last. Reality will set in any day now. It never did. While the mega clubs stumbled, Leicester just kept chugging along. They went to the home stadiums of giants like Manchester City and won. Jamie Vardy went on a tear, scoring goals in 11 straight games, a new Premier League record. Mahrez was a wizard with the ball, and Kanté seemed to be everywhere at once, a one-man defensive wall. They played with a joy and a team spirit that the high-priced superstars they were up against just couldn't match. Even when they were sitting at the top of the table at Christmas, nobody really believed. But the team, protected by Ranieri's calm and charming leadership, never cracked under the pressure. The manager, famous for his quirky dilly-ding, dilly-dong catchphrase, kept his players relaxed, promising them pizza for every game they played without letting the other team score. The entire world was watching as the season hit its final stretch. Could this impossible dream actually happen? On May 2nd, 2016, the moment came. Leicester's closest rival, Tottenham, had to win their game against Chelsea to keep their own title hopes alive. The Leicester players all gathered at Jamie Vardy's house to watch it together. Tottenham went up 2-0 over. It looked like the fairy tale was on hold, but Chelsea roared back in the second half. And in the 83rd minute, Eden Hazard scored a brilliant goal to tie the game. It ended in a 2-2 draw. Tottenham couldn't catch them anymore. The 5,000 to 1 long shots had done it. Leicester City were champions of England. The videos from Vardy's house and from the streets of Leicester were just pure, unfiltered joy. It was a victory that completely defied logic and statistics, a feel-good story that may never happen again. It was a win for every small team, every overlooked player, and every fan who ever dared to dream. Leicester City proved that while money can buy you stars, it can't buy you heart. Number 1, the last stand at Saragari. Our final story isn't about glory in a stadium or unifying an empire. It's a story of raw, stubborn courage against odds so overwhelming they sound like a myth. This is the Battle of Saragari, what many military historians call one of the greatest last stands in all of history. The year is 1897. The place is the rugged, dangerous northwest frontier of British India, in what is now Pakistan. The British Indian Army had a line of forts to control the region, but two of them, Fort Lockhart and Fort Gulistan, couldn't see each other through the mountains. To pass messages between them with a heliograph, which uses mirrors to flash sunlight, they built a tiny signalman post on a ridge in between. That post was Saragarhi. On the morning of September 12, 1897, a massive force of Pashtun tribesmen, with estimates ranging from 6,000 to over 10,000, swept into the area, aiming to overrun the British forts. Their first target was Saragarhi. If they took it, they would cut communication between the two main forts, leaving them isolated and vulnerable. Defending this tiny outpost were just 21 soldiers. Not British officers, but 21 Sikhs from the 36th Sikh Regiment of the British Indian Army, led by Havildar Ishar Singh. Around 9 a.m., the signaller, Sepoy Gurmukh Singh, saw the enemy approaching. A literal sea of warriors flooding the valley. He immediately signaled Fort Lockhart. Enemy approaching the main gate. Need reinforcements. The reply from Colonel Houghton in Fort Lockhart was devastating. He couldn't send help. It was impossible. The 21 Sikhs were completely on their own, facing odds of nearly 500 to 1. They could have retreated, abandoned the post, and tried to save themselves. They chose to stay. They chose to fight to the last man, to defend their post and delay the enemy for as long as humanly possible, buying precious time for the main forts to prepare. The battle began. The thousands of tribesmen crashed against the small outpost. The 21 Sikhs, using their rifles with deadly precision, fought off wave after wave of attacks. They fought for hours. The enemy, shocked by the fierce resistance, even offered them a chance to surrender. The Sikhs' response was more gunfire. The fighting was brutal. After the attackers finally breached a wall, the battle became a ferocious mess of hand-to-hand combat. One by one, the brave defenders fell. Havildar Ishar Singh, the commander, ordered his last few men back into the inner building while he stayed outside to fight alone, holding the breach. He was finally overwhelmed. The battle raged for nearly 7 hours. In the end, only one Sikh soldier remained, Sepoy Gurmukh Singh, the signaller who had been reporting the battle's events. He sent one final message, asking for permission to pick up his rifle. It's said that he killed as many as 40 attackers himself before the enemy. Unable to beat him, set the post on fire. As flames engulfed the building, his last defiant war cry echoed across the valley. Bola So Nihal, Sat Shri Akal. He who roars the name of God is blessed, true is the timeless Lord. When a relief party finally reached Saragarhi 2 days later, they found the bodies of the 21 heroes. Scattered all around them were the bodies of an estimated 600 attackers. The 21 soldiers had fought to their last breath, and they hadn't died for nothing. They had delayed the enemy long enough for reinforcements to save Fort Gulistan from being overrun. All 21 Sikh soldiers were posthumously awarded the Indian Order of Merit, the highest award for gallantry an Indian soldier could receive at the time. Their stand is legendary, earning recognition across the globe as one of history's ultimate displays of courage. The Battle of Saragarhi is the ultimate testament to duty, bravery, and sacrifice against odds that weren't just long, they were impossible. From the battlefields of feudal Japan to the frozen ice of Lake Placid, history shows us one thing: it's never a straight line. It's messy, improbable, and full of moments no one saw coming. The underdog doesn't usually win, but when courage meets opportunity, the impossible becomes real. These aren't just old stories. They're reminders that no matter the odds, the fight's never over until it is. What other impossible victories should we have included? Tell us your favorites in the comments. Thanks for watching.